So today's topic, we're going to talk about why people feel drained and burnt out at workplaces. Because let's face this, that the reason why we sometimes feel drained, why people burn out, is actually not due to hard work, but simply that the work that we focus on is out of alignment with our energy. And energy is our highest currency, because without it, there is simply no life. So when we focus on doing things that feel draining, that we just like really push through in order to accomplish something, that's what causes burnout. Not the time we invest in it, but how much energy we invest into it. So we've got a really interesting conversation lined up for today, where we're going to give you some practical tips and also tool to help you to stay energized throughout the day, and also start prioritizing your tasks and building routines that support your energy and allow you to get through the day on a more kind of a higher level. So Reed, anything you want to add to it?
Yes, I think that we need to demystify what energy means, because people are used to containing focused or not focused, and not focused and focus are based on a lot of things that we would also connect to energy. But are you tired? Are you stressed? Are you sleeping? Are you sick? So first, let's demystify what energy means. Okay, energy is a holistic view on where you are actually coming from to actually do a task. When we are talking about sleep, food, it's part of the energy. And that's part of it. And when you are, it's not that the minute you think about energy, if you're sick, go home. It's definitely not going to help you. It's not that we're taking that side away. But what we're actually asking is to put a holistic view on energy that are a combination of other stuff that you never thought about. When we're saying energy, it's what do you like to do? What are you good at? What actually your DNA and human behaviors actually design you to do. Sometimes we don't know what we are capable of doing, and we are stuck doing tasks that we so-called hate, just feel we are resisting it and we don't understand why. So when we're saying energy, we're just, let's say, extending what we are thinking about what creates our ability to actually work on tasks more let's say easily and produce more what we call productivity.
Exactly. That's a really good clarification, because typically when we think of energy, like you already mentioned, like if you're sick, yeah, go home, stop working, like really. But I tell you, even amount of healthy food and exercise is not going to really help us to get through the day on that high. And that's coming from years and years and years of personal experience, because I was like a semi-professional athlete. I fenced for South Africa for years. I ate super clean. I then started running marathons, ultra marathons. I was like eating, I've tried all sorts of diet, like dairy-free, gluten-free. But whenever I would go to work, depending on the project, on the task I was working, that actually determines how much energy I will have. And sometimes I remember working on a project for like 10, 15 hours. And I felt energized. I was pumping. I was productive. I was engaged. And then I remember there were times when I was doing something that there was no excitement. There was no passion. And that's when productivity slumped right down. And then when I started my own business, I was investing so much of my personal time. I was giving so much energy and attention, focusing on things that were not really in alignment. Like Sarit mentioned earlier, energetic DNA, and we're going to dive into it deeper, that I had 3 energy burnouts. And that's why I think we need to start really rethinking that's why we're burning out, and attributing it to a time we spent doing certain things, and rather thinking, well, it's the energy that we are investing, and it's a very different mindset there.
Did you want to dive in?
Yeah, so just wanted to kind of expand more on this energetic DNA. There's a couple of videos we've recorded where we spoke about human design, And what it is actually, every single one of us comes into this planet with our energetic blueprints. It's like our energetic DNA. And when we live and when we work out of alignment with it, no amount of healthy food or exercise can actually really helps us to optimize that energy and then to radiate it to people around us. And why do we actually want to radiate it to people around us, you may ask? But think about it, like in a partnerships, in a relationships, in a career, everywhere you can sense people's presence. That's what we call when somebody walks into the room, you can connect to their vibe, right? To their energy, to their presence. And the more energy you have, the better connections you will make with people, the more people will be attracted and drawn to you naturally. And that's a great, I guess, trait to have, especially if you are leading a team, if you are working with people closely around you. So, Sarit, I'm actually curious because obviously, you know, as a CEO of the company, like how did you prioritize your tasks?
I wanted to, first, I believe in the topic of energies, and I believe that as human, we have energies and it's defined more about more than just how we eat and when we sleep, which is definitely a factor. As a co-founder and a CEO, I believed in my purpose. And I believe this is what I came here to do. And I think that was my biggest engine. And people, and to be a leader, for me, being a leader was to make everybody else successful. So those usually were my major tasks when I was actually getting energy back for my people. I was driven by their success, by the creativity, by our conversation, by designing new things. I saw myself through a software company providing help to the world, creating new working environment for IT people. So for me, it was about leading and creating, and I will build a mechanism that the task that I did not like, let's say, that drew a lot of energy for me, like in every job, there is task that I like and task that I didn't like. I would surround it by the task that I liked. So let's say those are the tasks that I usually did everything that I call 3-dimensional, meaning every tip in the book, like I'm putting it in the calendar, 9 to 11, I'm sitting in there, nothing, and I'm doing it, literally I'm doing it. And after that, I knew something exciting was waiting for me, but I wouldn't let myself get the exciting thing until I got the thing that I was not actually very excited about.
Yeah.
So maintain balance.
I mean, for me, my always advice is, especially so when we talk about human design, I don't know if you guys are listening, if you are familiar with it, we've recorded a couple of videos where I really introduce different energy types, but especially for generators and manifesting generators, these are the only people who generate that energy within themselves. They are the doers, and the more excited and passionate they feel about what they do, the more energy they have. So my one suggestion always to generators is to start the day with the things that inspire and energize them the most. I mean, when I started kind of working that approach rather than saving the best for last, I just found I had more energy to go through the day. And sometimes even when I got to the tasks that's drained me, they didn't even have to be done, or somebody else would have done them. Or because energy, remember, is our highest currency, I could get through them in literally quarter of the time that they usually would take me. So that was just like one thing, I would always suggest to the generators. Now, different energy type, they're called projectors. And for projectors, they get the energy very differently. They're not really here to work consistent 9 to 5 hours, and they really need to pause and rest through the day. And this is where I think a lot of our conditioning comes into, where we think that if we pause, if we sit still, if we don't really do anything, we're being lazy or counterproductive. But actually the opposite is true. What it actually enables us to do is to physically slow down and increase our energy. And when we physically slow down, energetically we speed up. And for types like projectors, it's crucial, because during the time, and that doesn't need to be an hour, but it can be just like 5 minutes, maybe go for a walk, maybe just like go, I don't know, wash the dishes, whatever it is that kind of calms them down. That's when they get their energy back. That's when they get a reset, and then they can fly through the next task. But if they just keep on pushing and trying to keep up with the other people like generators, they will actually get drained, and potentially can also lead to burnout. Anything else you want to add on
Yes,
top of the energy?
I wanted also to add that I'm a big believer in the power that we have in the present moment. Present moment is all that we have. And I'm going to talk as a personal person right now. So I really hate to throw out the garbage. And for me, you have to, I'm living in a house, and I have to walk down a very long walk in order to throw my garbage, and I need to recycle, and it's a whole thing. And when I have to do it, and I hate it, I really hate it, and it's like I'm maintaining a lot of garbage until I'm finally doing it. So I started to play with myself some kinds of roles, and painting pictures and giving myself score, just to use other sides of my behaviors, because I'm completely very, very how do you say about winning? So I can't lose. Very determined. Sorry, that's the word I was looking. Yes, I'm very competitive. So I'm playing myself games, and I'm making games and drawing and points around the house. So we will all compete about throwing the garbage. So it's also something that you should consider. If there is other aspect that can relay and enable you to drive other energy from stuff that actually motivates you, so do it. That's one suggestion. And I also want to quickly mention that also add a routine on energy and burnout as a whole, like yoga, for example, that helps you start to understand your energy and shift it, and to be aware to actually, because we really know to understand when we're hungry and we need to eat. We actually obviously know that we're tired and we need to go to sleep. Okay, we need to start understanding a new concept, is understanding our energy. And practices like yoga and meditation, I know that we said we're not going to say this word, so I will stick to yoga, because yoga is great, actually helps you to start understanding the new concept of what we are introducing today, which is, what is your level of energy? And when you're sitting for a few minutes and you're feeling your inner body, and you start to feel how you pulse from the inside. For example, not every day is the same, so I'm sure a lot of the people that are watching are doing yoga practices, just never combine it with actual concept from spirituality. So they're asking you how you are breathing today. And you would start understanding that your way your body functions, it actually has to do with your energy. And that's the first awareness to start understanding, without human design, what is your level of energy. Because when you don't have energy, you would actually experience the same reflex of draining out of energy when you actually slept very well, or you just came back from lunch and you don't want to do this task. So starting understanding concept, when you are in the flow, when you are not in the flow, when are your level of energy hype, when you're actually excited, how does your body feel? How does your body feels from the inside? So you would start understanding what energy means.
Yeah. And just a little example that came into my mind, another way to maintain your energy levels high, especially if you work with teams in a work environment. You obviously have colleagues around you and people in your team. And what is important to understand is that just because you don't like doing something, just because something drains you, it actually may energize someone else. So in my previous role, I did task swapping, which was incredible. It really worked for both. I'm a generator. So for me, it's really prioritizing that excitement. And as a business owner, it's easy. Well, easier, I would say, because I can pick and choose what I want to focus on. But when I worked, or, when we're working, I guess, in a job, it's a bit different. So ask around, ask your teammates, like, hey guys, anybody wants to swap? So I used to hate doing Excel and documentation, but I love like techie things like designing workflows, designing Power BI, for example, dashboards. So me and my colleagues would swap, because she doesn't mind doing documentation, and she really didn't like Power BI dashboards. And she was happy and energized. She was also a generator, and so was I. So just even like without even human design and going into energy types, although I do strongly recommend it, and you can get a report for free completely. Even just becoming aware, like, what is that thing that drains me? Can I swap with someone? Can I swap this task? Right? If it's in a family, get your partner, get your kids to do that, just get other people involved. Yeah, like get your son to take the garbage out. He's old enough.
No, that's not about, of course we did, but I also need to do it. Okay. Lead by example. So I actually think it's creative that we are competing, because apparently all kids came, that took that gene for me. We're all very competitive. So game night in our house is total war, because everybody wants to win. So I'm actually thought it was such a creative idea that we're competing about who actually get to throw the garbage. And if not, we're playing cards who lose. So we got fun out of it, which is creative thinking. This is what spirituality is all about, getting new information, get creative with it. Yeah. The only thing we are doing in this video is starting to make you see other options out there, because productivity and burnout, I can tell you, it's for generation through time in industry and organization has been talked and over talked, and there is conference about it. And now we're talking about it in the future of work, because those things again are coming into the table. So it's not new, but talking about energy is something new. So even if you don't totally agree with us, getting this information is actually expanding your mind. So when you're going back to your table, you would be able to do things different. And this is the only thing that we want you to do.
Yeah, exactly, guys. So start paying attention, not just to what you eat and how much you sleep and you exercise, but to how you feel. Like you sit down and even just write a list. This drains me, like drain, energize, and just put your daily tasks in there, in 2 columns, and then see what you can do, like based on the suggestions we shared with you. Swap
just not on the days that you haven't slept or before lunch. Make sure you're coming, you come, and you can work in a good atmosphere.
Especially if you haven't slept, can you add more of the things that energize you into your daily task? Can you focus more on them and then swap with someone else, or at least start your day on a high and then leave, just even experiment with it. Leave the things that drain you till the last. Experiment with it. I promise you, you'll be surprised what can happen, because when your energy high, you're going to start attracting help, or people come to you and say, can I help you? And you're like, yeah, sure. Can you please take my garbage out? Just as an example, or whatever else. But just play with it, experiment with it, because energy is our highest currency. And the more energy we have, the more productive, engaged, and focused.
And awareness is the key. Awareness is the key.
For sure.
Great.
So you got some useful tips out of this video, and as always,
like, subscribe, comment,
and follow us on Instagram.
Yeah.